All right, what we got next up? What we got? We got Tua next up.
Tua.
Okay, so Tua, man,
Damn.
this is gonna be a bad year for me. Seminoles don't look good. Um,
Sorry, bro.
not looking good, man. The Dolphins. Tua's on IR, another concussion. They just paid him. Not looking good, man. And all I got to look forward to is the Heat, and who knows what's going to happen with the Heat with part timer Jimmy Butler as the best player on the team. Who knows? Um,
Yeah, I ain't looking forward to that.
but Tua, for anyone who didn't keep up with this, last Thursday night on the national game against the Buffalo Bills, suffered his fourth concussion of his career, which is unbelievable. Three as a pro, one as a collegiate player. He was taken off the field, and the news is that he's up and about, and he's going to talk to neurologists and specialists and all of that good stuff. But what just came through the wire today is he was officially placed on IR, which means that he will miss at least the next 4 games. But I would imagine he's going to miss more than the next 4 games, if I had to guess.
Mhm.
But this says Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa smiling with his teammates and taking things day by day after latest concussion. Uh, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua has been smiling with his teammates and taking things day by day as he recovers from his latest concussion, according to head coach Mike McDaniel. Tagovailoa has suffered multiple concussions in his NFL career, with the most recent coming after the Dolphins quarterback dove for a first down and took a hit from Bills safety Damar Hamlin. The 26-year-old was able to walk off the field under his own power after the collision, though it remains unclear if or when he will return to football. He's working with the trainers and medical staff diligently. And as far as I'm concerned, you're in the concussion protocol. And I think he's doing well today. And we take it day by day. McDaniel told reporters on Monday he was feeling good. But what does that mean in terms of a medical diagnosis? I don't base my judgments on my interactions with him necessarily as much as it is hearing the end result of the medical examination and where he's at. It was good to see him. And I know his teammates were pumped to see him. Per the NFL's protocol, every player diagnosed with a concussion must follow a 5-step process before returning to practice. That takes into account the player's history with concussions and the further risk of any further head injuries. Given Tagovailoa's history, having suffered multiple concussions in the 2022 season, many have been calling for him to retire from football. But on Sunday, sources told the NFL Network's Ian Rappaport that the quarterback does not plan to retire, instead aiming to return to the field when he is ready. CNN contacted Tagovailoa's representatives about the report, but did not hear back, while the Dolphins declined to comment. I think it's of utmost priority of mind for Tua to speak on Tua's career, said McDaniel. I think reports are reports. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just worried about the human being and whether and where that's at day to day. And I think I'll let Tua be the champion of his own career and speak on that. McDaniel also said that Tagovailoa will be assessed by independent concussion specialists as part of his recovery, adding that it's too early to know whether he will be placed on the injured reserve list. Okay, so that, of course, we of course amended that. As of September 17th, he was officially placed on IR.
Mhm.
So there you have it, bro. He's saying he's not going to retire, but people in the media, of course, have been saying that he should. It varies from one person to the next. But what is your take on Tua's fourth concussion and the fact that he says he's not going to retire?
Um, yeah, I'm concerned for the guy, and I was texting with my family during the game. At first we were just venting about what the hell we were watching. My goodness. I mean, they just throttled us. And then when the Tua thing went down, it was just sentiments of, geez, man, here we go again with this, and it's like, what that night was so horrible that him getting a concussion, like to cap everything off, it was like, yeah, this feels about right. And honestly, when he was just laying there, I was like, yeah, dude, just stop. Like you can't do this no more, man. Like, when you look at the replay or whatever, his neck does get jammed in, his head does go at an angle, but bro, I've seen worse. I've seen brutal hits and dudes just pop back up. And I think this guy is at this point to where um, any type of head trauma at this point, I mean, it's rocking his head, man. And I don't think he can take this anymore. Uh I was surprised to hear as many people, because initially my thing was just stop. So the next day, I was surprised to see how many people were actually saying, professionals, other players, you know, were actually, suggesting that this guy just call it a quits. I think the best thing that I heard was from Nick Saban and his, on a neutral stance. But his thing was, whatever the medical professionals say, I think he should do that. You know, and if they say, hey, if you keep taking these and this happens, whatever, and just weigh the risk out. Don't listen to all the noise outside. Don't listen to your teammates. Don't listen to medical professionals. And I think that's what he should do. But knowing the Dolphins, they're going to roll him back out there. And after that, I think it was the last concussion that he had, which was scary. All of them is scary, honestly. But it was one concussion that he had, and then I think he played the very next week or something. It was some rigmarole that they pulled and say he cleared protocol, and he was like right back out there. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? And so knowing the Dolphins, bro, he might come back right after IR. I don't like that either, man. But until this guy is literally carted off a field, you know what I'm saying? The Dolphins are going to keep doing this. And knowing Tua, at least as much as I, from the outside looking in, of course he really loves football. I don't think he wants to stop. So, it's a two-pronged thing. But I think we're going to see him again this season, which I am not in favor of. I really don't want the man to play again, to be honest. I think he should just shut it down and get into coaching if he loves the game so much. But last thing I'll say, to speak on that hit, because people was like, oh, why didn't you slide? Why didn't I mean, if y'all were watching that game, we was getting it handed to us. And I really think in that moment, yeah, he clearly had the first down, but I think he leaned into Hamlin like that to finish the runoff, to try to galvanize the team, trying to pump people up. He was frustrated. There was a lot of components on why he didn't do the smart thing there. And so that, to me, that's what played into him, leading head first and going like that. But to me, it looked like a regular hit. And then when he just didn't get up, I was like, yeah, this guy can't take regular hits anymore. So I'm not in favor of him getting back out there, to be honest. And I know that's easy for me to say, but you know, people bring up his family and all this other stuff. Yeah, dude. And what's going to happen when you're 35, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, so my concern is about when he's 35, not now. What are your thoughts, man, on Tua, man, just going through it, going through another concussion? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, he could have slid, but at the same time, the hit wasn't a regular. That hit was mid.
I know, man.
That was not a hit like that.
I know.
So you can say he should have slid, but it's not like that was not a collision like that.
I
It
know.
really wasn't. That was a mid run of the mill hit. And for him to have gotten concussed as a result of that
Right.
shows you his level of fitness
Yeah.
when it comes to his ability to take hits in general.
Yeah.
So I feel you on that. I never really bought into this idea that he should have slid or should have done something different. It wasn't he wasn't running all that fast, and he wasn't trying to initiate some kind of contact to run through the play. Like, he wasn't being Josh Allen.
Right.
And despite that, that happened. So yeah, I mean, I do not. Yeah, it's very difficult, man. I can say I don't think he should play again, but I feel wrong for saying that.
Yeah, me too. But
You
come
know,
on
like I
now.
feel
What are we
I,
doing?
I feel wrong for saying that. Like I'm sitting here gas bagging in front of this microphone on this webcam. Like
Mhm.
I feel wrong for saying that. This guy has been doing football his whole life. It is not my place
I am.
to speak towards taking that away from somebody.
I agree.
However, I think it is clear that uh he is susceptible to
Yeah, man.
concussions.
Yeah.
Um, and you said something like, he can't take hits anymore, something like that. You said,
Yeah, to that
I don't
effect.
think he could ever take hits in the first place
Yeah.
because he got concussed for the first time in college.
Yeah.
So he was in college getting concussed. And when you get into the NFL, you got defensive linemen who are faster than some DBs in college.
Exactly.
Like the NFL is no joke. These guys are alien level athletes.
I don't know what.
It's ridiculous.
It's scary, bro. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it honestly doesn't make sense the level of freakish athlete that pros are, even
Yeah.
on bad teams.
Agreed.
So my thing is like, this is the fourth one. That's a lot. That's a lot of times to be concussed. We don't know, it's interesting you think about it. We're learning more about the nature of brain and head injuries, but even though we're learning more and we know more now than we did in the past, we still don't know a whole lot.
Right.
Like, for example, I believe that somebody can have a genetic predisposition to concussions.
I will say that.
Now, there's we haven't that hasn't been concluded in the science academic realm, right? So that the medical community and the scientific community hasn't firmly concluded that that is a fact. But I believe that over time we will learn that there's some sort of genetic predisposition to concussions and head injuries.
Hmm.
Because you got some of these people who taken way more hits than him and they never get concussed.
Right.
And some of them aren't big, like some of them are slight like him, shorter like him. Some of these running backs taking these head-on hits all the time, they don't get concussions,
Hmm.
right? But whatever it is in his genetic makeup, whatever it is makes him more susceptible to his brain bleeding.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But so that's my thought is like at this point, I feel like he has some sort of pre-existing uh genetic makeup that makes it more likely than not that if he collides in that manner, his brain's going to start bleeding.
Hmm.
And from that standpoint, I can't open up a medical book and know that for a fact. It's my speculation, but my speculation on that is what makes me say maybe he should consider hanging it up. Because yeah, like you, man, I'm thinking about long term. You don't want to be dealing with like
Yeah, dude.
degenerative brain illnesses and Alzheimer's and early onset and all of this kind of stuff. Like at that point, was it worth it? Maybe it was. I was watching Ryan Clark on First Take the other day, and he was saying the mentality for a lot of players is it's worth the risk. And what did Tua just sign? What was his deal?
200 and
Um,
something.
yeah, like Tua's deal. If you'll humor me real quick while I look it up,
Hmm.
um, it was 167.2 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Um, let me see here. I'm gonna read into this because I think because they put stipulations into his contract based upon head injuries.
Yeah.
Um, so what happens if a relevance a 4-year $212.4 million? Yeah, that was it. So he signed a 4-year deal, $212.4 million.
Hmm.
And I think 167 point whatever I just said.
Hmm.
Yeah, $167.2 million guaranteed. So look, I've never been given $167.2 million.
I'm quitting, dude.
Maybe, maybe 4 concussions is worth that much money. I don't know. You
Hey.
know, so that's why I can't sit up here and engage in righteous indignation saying that he should retire,
Hmm.
right? Because of that very reason. But at the same time, it's a risk reward proposition. Is it worth the long term ramifications potentially? You know, Your brain can deteriorate. A lot of these guys, when they pass away, people like Junior Seau, and
Yeah,
their brain gets examined, and it's like, oh, they had CTE,
yeah.
and it's determined that they had the brain of like a 75-year-old man, even though they were like 40 years old, 50 years old, or something like that. So that's a choice that he's going to have to make. It's not a call that I'm going to make. What I will say is, it seems apparent to me that he is more prone to this stuff than not.
Yep,
There's something with his genetic makeup,
yep.
his physical makeup, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, which stipulates that he is more prone to this than not. And I think that should be taken into consideration when it comes to whatever decision he ends up making.
I agree, man. And I think too, I have a theory with football players, man. Just honestly, any professional athlete, NBA and NFL, that I think that there's mortals, and then there's these super athletes, as you mentioned. And Tua is a mortal. He's a regular guy. Honestly, in any other context, he shouldn't be playing football. I mean, from his height, from his build, and as we can see here, genetics, it's a situation where, for all purposes, he shouldn't even be in the league. So for him to even make it to the league, for him having this kind of build, is commendable. I think he's just really good at what he does, because he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. So all of his stuff is anticipation. All of his stuff is knowing the playbook, knowing, all of this other stuff, all of these cerebral things that gives him the ability to play with these monsters. But then once these monsters actually hit him, he can't take it because he's not one of them.
Yeah.
You see Lamar? I was surprised that first game. I'm like, bro, you're not even going to make it out of the season. Stop running the ball. But Lamar is a freak. He's a freak. So he can keep doing that stuff. And there's other athletes out there that are just absolute just freaks, and they can just do whatever. But Tua isn't that. He is a regular guy. And so he's a regular dude taking these hits. So that, to me, that speaks on the genetic aspect of it, of, hey, man, he's just one of us. Not one of these, not one of these guys with twitchy muscle fibers. You know what I'm saying? At 6'5", 250 and runs a 4.4. He's not that. So yeah, man, when those defenders get at him, he was getting super nervous, and that explains the erratic throws before the concussion. He knows what's going on out there.
Yeah.
And he knows he's not one of them. And so I'm very I'm worried for the guy. So once that money came in, and I think there is something in there where part of that guaranteed money, where he's still going to be over 100 mil, even if he decides to retire tomorrow. I would just take the bag, bro, and get into coaching. He'll be a hell of a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, whatever, and and nobody, I'm telling you, nobody is going to criticize you for this.
Yeah.
I've never seen such a universal concern for one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's just like, come on, it doesn't happen like this.
Or Damar Hamlin is the only other one.
Yeah,
Damar
but
Hamlin
Damar Hamlin's a meme. You get online, he's a meme now. And the hit happened with Hamlin. And the first one of the top comments I saw on TikTok was, Hamlin's 1 for 1 now. So he basically won a game and lost one, or people making fun. So Hamlin's a running joke at this point. But Tua, man, people still feel sorry for the guy. But I don't know if you saw the Eagles game last night, man. One guy that is running around with CTE at this moment is CJ Gardner Johnson. That guy is just CTE personified. I mean, he's not even a human at this point. He is just straight concrete crazy man. Yeah. So and that's the people that Tua has to run up against. People that can take those blows and don't feel it. Yeah. So yeah, man. If you're not one of those people, man, just call it a quits. When I was a youngster, man, and I was out there playing Optimus, you know what I'm saying? Concussions weren't really a thing back then, especially when they had them thin ass helmets. But I was seeing stars. So in hindsight, as an adult, the reason why I stopped playing was, I don't know if I was getting concussions, but those hits were outrageous. And I was like, look, I can't keep taking all this head trauma. I didn't know what was going on, but I was like, I don't like getting hit in the head like this. And in practice, it was commended. And we used to bat helmets like Rams. And the loudest clap got the best applause from the coaches. And the only people that stayed and kept playing were the CJ Gardner Johnsons. And so that's the people that go out and play football and keep going. And it's the ones that don't feel it. So I was more on the Tua side of things. And I was like, look, man, I'm not sorry, guys. Let me go pick up a basketball. So I went and played basketball, man. So I'm telling you, man, the CTE stuff is for real. I feel sorry for these dudes. But my concerns for Tua when he's in his 30s and his 40s. And, he don't have no onset, like you said, crippling disease later.
Yeah.
So take the $100 million, man, and bounce,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he did get his now I'm very happy he got his deal. You know. And like the sports fan didn't like it because the economy of the NFL is not something that I'm a fan of these days, where it's like, next quarterback up resets markets and gets paid top 5 in the league, even if they're not that good. So I'm not a fan of the economy of the NFL. The NFL economy bothers me. But as a human, I'm very happy he got his deal.
Yep.
Because if he was out there because they're not gonna, that if he had gotten hit like this last year, they wouldn't have given him no money.
Yep.
So I'm glad that he was able to stay concussion free last year so he could get it. And now he's got his, security. I'm glad about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that there's something going on with his genetics that makes it more likely than not that collisions can result in this. And human genetics to me are a very fascinating thing. Yeah, like man. what makes somebody be injury free their whole, like, basically you got some guys who just never get hurt. And then you got other guys who are big and they look strong, stay breaking bones. and you wonder, like, how is this a thing? Like, how does that happen? Mm-hmm. It's a very fascinating thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I hope the best for him. I'm really glad that he's in today's NFL and not in a previous era where he could have been getting hurt by people like Vontaze Burfict,
right?
Or something like this, because it could have been a lot worse.
Yep, and no concussion protocols, and he would get rolled right back out there, probably in the next quarter.
Yeah. Shouts out to Tua, man. Good luck, bro.
Yeah, get well, man. Go Dolphins.